Thank you for stopping by the Life of Sassy and checking out my video today. Today we're going to be back in the kitchen doing some cooking. I'm going to bring you two side dishes, and oh my gosh, both of these side dishes were so amazing. You have to try them. Let's go ahead and jump right in and get cooking. The first dish I'm going to make today is called Savory Sweet Potatoes. Here is everything you need to make them. Now let me tell you, the combination of Italian seasoning and Parmesan cheese, I knew this was something I had to try. Let's get cooking. To cook my savory sweet potatoes, I have my oven preheating to 400 degrees and I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of oil to my bowl. The original recipe calls for olive oil. I have some, it's just downstairs, but I'm just going to go ahead and use canola oil. It will be fine. To my oil, I'm going to add a teaspoon of garlic powder. Next, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. It says salt and pepper to taste, so I'm just going to put in probably about 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper because my pepper is quite strong, and probably about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. I don't want to add a lot because I'm also adding Parmesan cheese to this. And lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add in 4 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. Let's go ahead and mix this up. I went ahead and peeled my sweet potatoes off camera, so now I'm just going to go ahead and cut them up into chunks, and then I'm going to add them directly to my bowl. When it comes to sweet potatoes, I love sweet potatoes, but I don't like playing into the sweetness of a sweet potato. I prefer a more savory sweet potato. I don't like any recipes where you're adding brown sugar. Now, I don't mind cinnamon as long as there isn't a sweetener added, but I will always gravitate more towards the savory sweet potatoes than a sweet potato. And I don't think I mentioned it, but the recipe called for 3 large sweet potatoes, but as you can see from mine, they're all varying sizes. So I'm just guesstimating what I think 3 large sweet potatoes would equal. I've added all my sweet potatoes to my bowl. Now I'm just going to mix them up to cover them in that herb mixture we had in the bottom of the bowl. These are all nicely coated, so I'm going to go ahead and set my bowl off to the side. The recipe says to either cook them on a cookie sheet that you've sprayed or to use parchment paper. I've lined my cookie sheet with aluminum foil, and now I'm just going to give it a light spray. And then I'm just going to go ahead and dump on my sweet potatoes. These will go in a 400-degree oven. It says for 32 to 35 minutes until they're lightly brown. I'm going to pop mine in. I will check them at 20. I feel like they're probably going to take about 30, but I feel like I also may have cut them a little bit smaller than they did. So I will let you know when they come out how long they took. Here are my finished sweet potatoes. When I checked them at 20 minutes, they were already soft. I just put them back in for a couple more minutes to brown up a little bit. I could have browned them a little bit more, but I'm actually planning to make these ahead for a side dish later on in the week. So at that point, they'll go in the air fryer, and I don't want them to dry out. So these are done. I'm just going to wait for them to cool off, and I'll package them up. But I did try them, and oh my gosh, if you like a savory sweet potato, this recipe is for you, and I hope you try it. The next dish I'm going to be making is Creamy Pesto Gnocchi. Here is everything we need to make it. Now, this dish doesn't have any protein in it, but I am going to add some chicken. Let's go ahead and start cooking. To make the Creamy Pesto Gnocchi, everything is done on the stove, so I'm just going to go ahead and add in my ingredients. Now, I am only making a half batch of this. I'm using up some leftover gnocchi we had in the freezer, and I'm going to take this for my lunches this week. I have a couple office days, but as always, the original recipe will be linked in the description below, but everything you see me do will be cut in half. So here I am adding 1/8 of a cup of pesto to my pan. Next, I'm going to add 1/8 of a cup of chicken broth. The original recipe calls for wine or chicken broth. We don't drink wine, so we always just sub in chicken broth. Next, we're going to go ahead and add in half a cup of heavy whipping cream. Then I'm going to go ahead and grate in 1 clove of garlic. You can just mince yours, but I don't feel like getting out my garlic press for 1 clove, so I'm just going to go ahead and grate it in. Next, it says to add salt and pepper to taste. I'm going to go ahead and put in just a sprinkle of pepper, not even 1/8 of a teaspoon, and about the same for salt. I'm not too worried about the salt content because I am going to be adding Parmesan cheese to this, but I will taste it at the end, and if I need to adjust, I can adjust from there. I've turned my stove on to medium heat. I'm just going to go ahead and stir this to combine it all, and once it starts to bubble, we will add in the gnocchi to cook it through. This is a 1-pan meal, except for there is no protein, but in my case, because I'm going to be taking this for lunch, I am going to add some cooked chicken chunks in just to make it a little bit more filling. But right now, we're just going to wait for this to start to bubble. My mixture has started to bubble, so I'm going to go ahead and add in half a pound of gnocchi. Now, this is just some shelf-stable gnocchi that I froze because we didn't use the whole package. So you're supposed to put a lid on this and cook it for 5 minutes, but because mine is frozen, it might take a couple more minutes. But all we're going to do is put in the gnocchi, give it a quick stir, cover it, and let it cook for 5 minutes. And I'll be back in 5 minutes. My gnocchi has been cooking for about 5 minutes now. Well, exactly 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little stir. Now, the original recipe does not call for this, but I'm going to add in a little bit of cooked chicken because I'm going to take this for my lunch this week, and I just want that little bit of protein with my lunch to keep me full all afternoon. Now, once you take the lid off, you're supposed to let it continue cooking until the sauce is as thick as you would like it. For me, I think we're good right there. So now we're going to go ahead and add in a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. It might be a little bit more. I never measure my parm. That looks good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and take it off the heat and let it cool. Oh my gosh, I just tasted this to see if I needed to adjust the seasonings. This is so amazingly good. I highly recommend it. We will see how it reheats because, like I said, I'm taking it for my lunch, but oh my gosh, this is better than I was expecting. I highly suggest, if you like pesto and you like an Alfredo sauce, definitely try this recipe. I did take this dish in my lunch, and I'm going to be honest, it did not reheat well. The flavors were still there, but the oil did come out of the pesto, so I would not recommend reheating this dish, but oh my gosh, it has been about a week since I made it, and I am craving it so bad, and I'm going to have to make it again soon. I think next time I would continue to add the chicken, but I also might add in some sliced up mushrooms just to make it more of a meal versus a side dish. But oh my gosh, if you like gnocchi, pesto, and Alfredo, you have to try this dish. Thank you for stopping by The Life of Sassy and checking out my video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. That just lets me know you like this content. And if you haven't already, please consider joining my YouTube family by clicking that subscribe button down below. If you want to chat, reach out to me in those comments below. And I really, really hope you try these recipes. I have to tell you, they were amazing. It's been about a week since I made them, and I am craving both of them. And both of them are on this week's meal plan again. Thanks again for stopping by. Have a wonderful day.